He was the strongest. Before Sylvester Ritter became the Junkyard Dog, he built his foundation on the football field at Fayetteville State University, where he earned honorable mention All-American status. That raw power and college football background gave him the physical toughness needed to survive in the brutal world of Mid-South wrestling. But strength alone does not make a legend. What made JYD truly special was how promoter Bill Watts positioned him as the top star in the territory, breaking an unwritten rule that had kept black wrestlers from the main event spotlight. His combination of natural charisma and physical dominance turned him into an unstoppable force. Today, we are looking at the 5 toughest rivals who pushed JYD to his limits and helped define his legendary career in Mid-South wrestling. The fabulous Freebirds stand as the most important rivalry in Junkyard Dog's career. This feud did not just push boundaries, it shattered them completely. The Freebirds, made up of Michael Hayes, Terry Gordy, and Buddy Jack Roberts, arrived in Mid-South as a young heel trio with instant success. They won the Mid-South Tag Team Championship quickly. The conflict started when Hayes accused JYD of stealing their idea to use entrance music. Hayes was referring to their use of the Leonard Skynyrd song, Freebird, even though the Freebirds had actually used music first. This accusation sparked a rivalry that would become the most intense feud in Mid-South history. The defining moment came when the Freebirds attacked JYD during a tag match with Buck Robley. They blinded him with hair cream. This was not just another wrestling attack. The storyline took this assault and made it deeply personal. When JYD's wife gave birth to their first child, the promotion wove this real-life event into the narrative. They explained that JYD could not see his new daughter because of his simulated blindness. By bringing his actual family into the story, the Freebirds crossed from being regular villains into something far worse. They became monsters who had committed an unforgivable crime against a father and his newborn baby. The fan reaction to this angle was unlike anything seen before or since. The Freebirds needed police escorts to get in and out of arenas safely because the hatred from fans was so intense. Stories emerged of audience members offering to pay JYD's household bills while he could not wrestle. Bill Watts even required JYD to keep his blinds closed at home so fans would not see him acting normal, which would have broken the illusion of his injury. The commitment to keeping this story believable was absolute. The violence of the fan reaction reached its peak when someone at ringside pulled a gun on Michael Hayes. JYD was sitting there and faced an impossible choice. He could either break character to save his rival or maintain the storyline and risk a real tragedy. Fortunately, law enforcement tackled the fan before anything terrible happened. If you are enjoying this deep dive into one of wrestling's most legendary rivalries, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment below and let us know what you think about the Freebirds feud. Did they go too far with the blinding angle, or was it brilliant storytelling? We want to hear your thoughts. The payoff for all this heat came in the form of a dog collar steel cage match against Michael Hayes at the Louisiana Superdome. JYD entered while still recovering from his injury. The match drew around 30,000 people, making it the largest gate in Mid-South wrestling history. This enormous crowd cemented the Freebirds feud as the most successful angle the territory ever produced. It established JYD as the undisputed king of Mid-South wrestling. After the intense emotional warfare with the Freebirds, JYD moved into a rivalry with Ted DiBiase that showed a completely different side of Mid-South booking. DiBiase and JYD were close friends in real life. JYD even served as the best man at DiBiase's wedding. This personal connection made their on-screen rivalry feel even more powerful because the betrayal hit harder. DiBiase was a 4-time Mid-South North American heavyweight champion and a skilled wrestler. Bill Watts specifically chose him to work matches that would showcase JYD's strengths and hide any weaknesses. The rivalry centered on the Mid-South North American Heavyweight Championship and built toward a loser leaves town match. This type of stipulation created a major problem for the promotion. JYD was the biggest moneymaker in the territory. If he actually left for an extended period, ticket sales would drop dramatically. When JYD lost the match and was forced to leave, Watts came up with a brilliant solution. A masked wrestler named Stagger Lee appeared shortly after JYD's departure. Stagger Lee looked physically similar to JYD and started defeating opponents, including DiBiase himself. The heel wrestlers suspected that Stagger Lee was JYD under a mask, but they could never prove it by unmasking him. This creative strategy allowed Watts to keep his biggest star on shows while technically honoring the loser leaves town stipulation. Fans remained invested because they wanted to see JYD return and get his revenge. Ticket sales stayed strong during what should have been a difficult period. Stagger Lee disappeared only after the time limit on the loser leaves town clause expired. Then JYD officially returned and reclaimed the North American Heavyweight Championship. The DiBiase feud represents the most intellectually sophisticated booking in Mid-South history. It successfully protected the territory's main revenue source while maintaining the integrity of a major stipulation match. The rivalry with Butch Reed marked JYD's final major program in Mid-South before leaving for the WWF in 1984. Reed turned on JYD in 1983 and quickly aligned himself with Ted DiBiase. Reed captured the Mid-South North American Heavyweight Championship on July 16, 1983, and spent months successfully defending it against JYD's challenges. The rivalry reached a psychological peak when Reed's arrogance led him to let the fans vote for his next title challenger. The options included JYD, Jim Duggan, Crusher Khrushchev, and Magnum TA. The fans overwhelmingly chose JYD, but Reed dismissed their choice. He claimed JYD and Duggan did not deserve a title shot and instead gave the opportunity to Magnum TA, whom he had previously beaten. JYD eventually got his revenge by serving as a special guest referee in a match where Magnum TA defeated Reed for the North American title. Although Reed briefly got the title back due to a technical issue with the fan vote, JYD's role in helping Magnum TA win was crucial for the territory's future. This feud was defined by brutal physical matches, including dog collar matches and a loser painted yellow match. While some felt these power versus power matches lacked the creative storytelling of JYD's other feuds, they satisfied the Mid-South audience's appetite for hard-hitting action. The Reed rivalry served an important purpose beyond just entertaining fans. It happened right before JYD left for the WWF, so it validated Reed as a top-level heel who could headline the territory's championship scene. More importantly, Reed's eventual loss to Magnum TA, with JYD's help as referee, directly elevated the next generation of Mid-South stars. The promotion needed new babyfaces like Magnum TA and Terry Taylor to carry the company forward after JYD's departure. The Reed feud accomplished that goal perfectly. The rivalries with King Kong Bundy and Kamala served a different purpose than the narrative-heavy feuds with the Freebirds and DiBiase. These matches were about spectacle and proving JYD's physical dominance. JYD was consistently praised for his superior upper body strength, which allowed him to body slam massive wrestlers like Bundy, Kamala, and the One-Man Gang. These feuds were necessary to maintain audience belief in JYD's power against the most physically imposing opponents in wrestling. JYD faced King Kong Bundy in 1983 in a specialty match that required a 5 count to secure a pinfall. This rule highlighted Bundy's exceptional size and made JYD's challenge even more impressive. JYD also battled Kamala, the imposing Ugandan giant, in brutal specialty matches. Sometimes he teamed with partners like Dusty Rhodes in dog collar and bull rope matches against opponents, including Ted DiBiase and Kamala. Around 1983, JYD began gaining weight, which eventually led to the less flattering junk food dog nickname. Bill Watts used smart storytelling to protect JYD's image during this physical change. Watts publicly explained that JYD was bulking up for Kamala. This statement maintained the illusion that JYD's weight gain was a strategic preparation for battling a monstrous opponent rather than a decline in conditioning. The matches against Bundy and Kamala validated JYD's core selling point as a wrestler, his incredible strength. They provided balance to the psychological storytelling in his other feuds. Each of these rivalries served a specific purpose in building JYD's legacy. The fabulous Freebirds feud created the foundational myth and generated the most intense fan reaction in Mid-South history. It was a moral conflict that blurred the lines between wrestling and reality. The Ted DiBiase feud showcased the intellectual peak of Mid-South booking through the Stagger Lee angle, which protected the territory's revenue during a mandatory absence. The Butch-Reed rivalry functioned as the final challenge before JYD's departure, validating the next generation of stars like Reed and Magnum TA. Finally, the feuds with Kamala and King Kong Bundy reinforced JYD's fundamental appeal, his superior power and ability to defeat the biggest monsters in wrestling. Junkyard Dog's run in Mid-South wrestling from 1979 to 1984 proved that exceptional charisma and strategic booking could overcome decades of industry prejudice. Bill Watts recognized JYD's star power and made him the top champion despite external pressure from figures like NWA President Bob Geigel, who argued that promoting a black wrestler as the top star would hurt business. Watts proceeded anyway because JYD's ability to draw record crowds and sell out venues like the Louisiana Superdome was undeniable. The economic reality was simple. JYD was not just popular, he was irreplaceable. JYD's fame in New Orleans reached cultural phenomenon status. During the 1981 to 1982 school year, Students chose JYD as the local sports star they most wanted to meet, placing him above legends like Archie Manning and Pistol Pete Maravich. His drawing power single-handedly transformed New Orleans into the top wrestling city in the South. When JYD left for the WWF in 1984, Mid-South Wrestling continued and even reached its creative peak in 1984 to 1985. However, the promotion relied on an ensemble cast featuring wrestlers like Jim Duggan and the Midnight Express. The era of the singular super babyface headliner that JYD represented effectively ended with his departure. If you enjoyed learning about these legendary rivalries, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more wrestling history content. Junkyard Dog's legacy continues to be celebrated through his posthumous inductions into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2004, the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2012, and the Memphis Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2022. His work in Mid-South Wrestling remains the foundation of his enduring recognition as one of the most important and beloved wrestlers in professional wrestling history. The rivalries with the fabulous Freebirds, Ted DiBiase, Butch Reed, and the colossal heavyweights solidified the Junkyard Dog as a cultural icon and the most essential figure in Mid-South wrestling history.